before the break, we were discussing the impact of all that oil leaking into the Gulf of Mexico. Let's pick up where we left off, part 2 of our conversation, keeping them honest. You won't be able to study how much oil was spilled unless you actually know how much is pouring out every day. I mean, there's scientists who are now saying, look, unless you know how much is pouring out, you know, it's going to affect how future responses are done, that the response to this spill will become a model for future responses. And if the modeling is all wrong based on how much is actually pouring out, we're going to get future spills wrong as well.
Well, this spill, this is actually a leak, so it's different than a spill, which is something we're going to learn from. We have responded to a spill and a leak really at a rate of close to 100,000 barrels a day. And we've got boom, we've got 1.5 million feet of boom around the coast. The dispersants are injected now. It's dispersing the oil. The dispersant is doing what it's designed to do, break it down so that we can recover it. We had controlled burns on the surface today. The weather's been our friend offshore today, and the natural process of the dispersant, break it down, small droplets, the bacteria eats it, that's what it's designed to do, and I think we're making progress on that. Although I have to say I'm devastated by some of the sites today we saw. We've cleaned up the beaches in Louisiana, but there is oil in a portion of the marsh down there.
I'm still, you know, we didn't get an answer to why it took 23 days to release video, which you guys had access to. But CNN has now learned that you've agreed to provide access to the 24-hour live feed that you have of the leak to Barbara Boxer's Senate committee. You're giving it to the committee. Why not allow Americans to see that 24-hour feed that your executives are seeing all day long?
Anderson, we've given that feed through the Coast Guard command centers. We can't really give the feed without an approval from the Coast Guard and the government. We've given those feeds to multiple parties. I don't know exactly who they all are, but it's not only Barbara Boxer. There's other feeds into the Interior Department, the Department of Energy, I'm sure, who have been very helpful with us.
Well, actually, I mean, Barbara Boxer wrote a letter to your company, and said that you guys had basically said that to their committee, that it was up to the unified command, that it wasn't just your decision. But she seems to contradict that. She said, and I'm quoting from this letter that she sent you 2 days ago, she said, "We're writing to reiterate our request that BP provide us with all video records of the Deepwater Horizon well and associated spill. After our initial request, BP suggests the video was released under the authorization of the Unified Command. We've contacted the Unified Command and to date have not identified any restriction on BP's ability to release these records." She's saying essentially you guys are free to release the video as you wish, so why not release it to the American people so they can watch this thing 24 hours a day if they want?
Well, I'm not sure. I think we have, Anderson. I don't know exactly where it's all going, but we're not hiding anything from this. Again, this is not a leak on the bottom that we're watching. We have a complex system of robots around it with umbilicals down there. We're not stopping to go through a process of measuring it. We're trying to contain it first, and then we.
But you do have a live feed of it watching it.
We do in the command center. It's not all the time. Depends on the location of the robots, but we have a feed on it.
Okay. And you don't know why that wouldn't be released to the American public?
Well, Anderson, we are working under a unified command structure that is led by the U.S. Coast Guard in Robert, Louisiana. And so BP is not going to do anything that is outside that command structure. If the command structure agrees we release it as we have.
Well, okay, no, you haven't released it to the American public, and again, Barbara Boxer says it's really up to BP, but I'll move on. I want to ask you about the dispersants that you're putting into the Gulf. Is it correct to say that no one has ever dumped this amount of dispersants before, not just on the surface, but underneath the surface?
I don't know. This is a dispersant that's been used in the Gulf of Mexico for more than 20 years. It's the preferred Coast Guard use of disbursement. It seems to be very, very effective. It's doing its job. The long-term consequences of that much dispersant are something that we absolutely need to study. BP is already gathering scientists and we want to know the impacts of that and many other things about this accident.
So you don't really know at this point, you don't know the long-term impact of this amount of dispersants underneath the surface of underneath the surface and on the surface.
Not this amount, no. But we see it doing its job, and it's effectively a dish soap that breaks the oil into small droplets, and then the bacteria eats it. It's non-toxic, it's biodegradable. That's what it's designed to do.
But I mean, a number of environmentalists have raised concerns about it. And in fact, according to the New York Times, I'm quoting, BP continues to stockpile and deploy oil-dispersing chemicals manufactured by a company which it shares close ties, even though other U.S. EPA-approved alternatives have been shown to be far less toxic and in some cases nearly twice as effective. Basically, you're using products, I think, I may have the name wrong, called Core Exit, and according to the Times, they say 12 out of the 18 EPA-approved dispersants were found to be more effective than Core Exit, according to EPA data, and the toxicity of the 12 was either comparable or 10 to 20 times less, according to the EPA. So if there's less toxic things out there, why not use them?
Anderson, the EPA is very thorough in their testing of these, and I can't tell you the shades of gray and the rankings of various characteristics of it. I do know that this particular product, and there's two products that we're using, have been stockpiled and they were available for immediate response. And when we submitted the original spill response plan, they were in that response. The EPA is very thorough about such things. So I think and they do not have these same concerns that you mentioned.
Well, I mean, according to their own reports, there are less toxic and maybe even more effective dispersants to use. They might not have had those on hand, but have you made any effort to, in the nearly 4 weeks of this bill, to actually get other dispersants in there that are less toxic, that are actually more effective in the Gulf, although it may not be, ones connected to your company?
Well, it's not connected to the company. I don't know anything about that. It's a commercial product that's available and it's used in the Gulf.
One of the members of your board is an executive for the company that owns these dispersants.
I think I would know that, and I can't tell you. I don't know anybody who is actually. That company supplies this product. It's used all around the world. We are working with the EPA to look at other dispersants and looking at their availability and the potential of putting those into action. I do know that, and this is one of the things that we will look at in the near term here. There's no question we're going to look at any option here to make sure this is the most effective response. Contain it at the surface, collect it, burn it, and keep it off the beaches. We're not going to do anything except try to make this the most effective oil spill response in history.
You said that the EPA wasn't concerned. The EPA director actually said that, she said, quote, "I'm amazed by how little science there is on the issue" in front of a congressional committee. And she said that she's working with BP and others to, quote, "get less toxic dispersants to the site as quickly as possible." Do you have a timeline on when that may occur?
Well, we'd have to get into the Unified Command Center in Robert, Louisiana on that. There's no question that that's where they deploy the resources and allocate and prioritize resources. And I'm sure if that's what you said, that's what we're doing. No question about it. I can't tell you tonight.
Finally, I want to try to clarify something that I read in a UK Times article. Tony Hayward, on May 13th, the CEO, your boss of BP, said that he promised that he was going to stay here until we have fixed it. That was his quote, staying in America until we fixed it. According to the UK Times, he's now intending to be in England tomorrow for a board meeting and to celebrate his 54th birthday. Is that true?
Well, I just saw him before we came here. I don't know anything about that. Tony has worked tirelessly over the last month, has been all across the Gulf states, met the governors and the claims centers on the beaches to see and talk with people and make sure the spill response is going well. He's been overseeing the engineering activities that we have daily. I don't really know, but I can tell you that he's one hard-working, dedicated guy on this.
I have no doubt about that. I just think, he made this promise. I just wanted to verify the UK Times report, so we'll try to check back with BP on that for tonight's broadcast. Bob Dudley, I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Anderson.
Well, we did get back to BP after that interview to find out if indeed Mr. Hayward, the company CEO, is leaving the country. BP wouldn't comment, but a source close to the company said he is leaving the country for a board meeting. The source didn't comment on the birthday party. So much for the promise to stay here till